I'm going to do a short introduction to QubesOS. For those of you who don't know me, I am Fredrik Strömberg. I am the CEO and head of security for a small VPN service called mullvad, and I use Qubes in my personal life, and most of the developers at mullvad use Qubes professionally as well. And we really like it. So I'm just going to, let's see here. There we go. Perfect. So what is Qubes? As some of you have already experienced, no, that's not fair actually. The issues with the VGA cable were only mine. Actually, this part of Qubes works just like in Linux. Well, I mean, and it works pretty well in Linux.
It works.
Yeah, I mean it works in Linux. It doesn't work if you haven't, done it for like 6 months and then like, oh. But anyway, so Qubes is a security-focused operating system, and it achieves this through isolation and smart integration. The smart integration part is really important, because if you only do isolation and then it's a mess moving stuff between your isolated compartments, then you can't work. And as we all know, if security is too hard, then you just don't care, and you end up you need to get stuff done, but you end up doing it in an insecure way. So Qubes was created by a woman called Joanna Rutkowska and her colleagues, and it came out of a blog post in 2008 that she wrote, where she asked, how do computer systems provide security? And she outlined 3 categories, and those were security by correctness, security by isolation, and security by obscurity. And security by correctness is when you are trying to create secure code. You can either do this by being really, 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 really good at C, and then you fail despite that, or security by correctness is also like OpenBSD. They're trying to only bundle really well-tested, audited software with their distribution. You can also do, a combination of well, I guess if you use a memory-safe language, then you are still relying on like the Python interpreter being made correctly. But you don't have, in theory, you don't have memory bugs. You only need to worry about the correctness of your Python program. But yeah, correctness is basically, let's write really, really good bug-free code. Security by isolation, that's where Qubes comes in. Qubes tries to isolate your digital life into security domains. And then there's security by obscurity. Security by obscurity would be ASLR, address space layout randomization, which makes it more difficult to exploit buffer overflows in your programs. That could be pointer encryption or any other kind of obfuscation. And so they started developing this in 2010. With Joanna Rutkowska was a founding, I guess you'd call her the Qubes founder, but she also had a number of colleagues that are also really good within this space. Joanna, she specialized previously in low-level security and stealth malware. She is the author of the Blue Pill, which you may remember. It's when you basically have a malware that is not infecting your OS, but it actually puts your OS inside of a VM. So your antivirus software has great trouble trying to detect it because it's all running in a VM. She's also worked on Xen hypervisor security, and she and her colleagues have discovered a few attacks against Intel Trusted Execution Technology and Intel System Management mode. So if you were to assemble a team that was going to make a security-focused operating system, this would be a very, very good start. And so why is it needed? It's needed, in my opinion, because if you run Windows, OS X, or Linux, one attack can own everything. So these are all monolithic in the sense that you're just browsing the web, or you're opening an innocent-looking email attachment, and boom, there's a vulnerability in your browser, or in your PDF reader, or in your Flash plugin, or in your JavaScript engine, or whatever, something, or in your Microsoft Word. And this malware might show you unwanted advertisements, or it might log your keystrokes, or it might just take over your entire computer. And so when you are infected, you jeopardize all the information that is present on that system. Maybe that's health records, or confidential communication, or a private journal, or your customers' information. Maybe you have credentials to some customer servers, or something like that. And antivirus doesn't seem to work well enough. It's reactive. It's not proactive. It relies largely on signatures. So if you were to create a new polymorphic or metamorphic virus with a new signature, and then you distribute that, or maybe you're even doing a targeted attack, then they will. The antivirus companies will only make this new signature in their databases a few days after they've already started to spread. And even if you have a firewall, you or your colleagues, they're still surfing the web. They're still doing all these things that they need to do their job. So how does Qubes provide security? Like I said, it does this by separating your digital life into security domains. And this is what I do, basically. I this is, I just realized that I'm missing a picture here that will make it all a little bit easier for you to understand. Let's see here. Perfect. There we go. So what Qubes does is you have your. This is my lucky GNU, by the way. It didn't work. When you're trying to set up a presentation, everything is supposed to work, and this is my lucky plush toy to make it work immediately. Anyway, so here's your computer, and here's your hardware. What Qubes does is you run the Xen hypervisor at the bottom. Xen is a type 1 hypervisor, so it's bare metal. There's no OS beneath Qubes. Qubes is the bare layer interacting with the hardware, basically. And you isolate your work into different security domains. So, and the most important here is DOM0. DOM0 has special access to hardware, and that's where you are running your GUI, and that's where you administer the whole. That's where you are creating your VMs and doing everything else. So if you see the tool I used to show the picture, you can see that there's a border here, and it's made in green, or it's colored in green, and there's a prefix here that says work, which means that this is running in the work VM. So this is running down here. And if I were to if this were to spawn a different process that displays something, that will also be encapsulated by the same border and the same prefix. And this is enforced by the secure GUI, which is running in its own domain. Or the domain is Xen terminology for it's a VM, basically. It's just a virtual machine. So as an example here, so you run your GUI in DOM0, which is what displays this, And then perhaps you have your work in a different VM. That's where you run Firefox or Thunderbird or whatever. Maybe you have another domain that runs your personal stuff. And then maybe you have a banking domain or a server administration domain, and so on and so forth. But it goes beyond that. Of course, you are also running your Wi-Fi drivers and your DHCP client in a different VM, right? Because if you happen to have, if there is a vulnerability in your Wi-Fi card, which someone exploits over the network, or if someone exploits a vulnerability in your DHCP client, if you were running Linux, you would be owned. But if you're running Qubes, then the attacker would only own that specific VM. So I think that's very useful. Like I said, this is, let's see here, sorry. There we go. So this is what I do. I have a sys-VPN VM, which connects to all of my my work VM and my server admin VM and all these VMs. And you can create network topologies where you have your net VM, or it's called sysnet, is what I call it. So that's where I run my Wi-Fi drivers and my DHCP client. Hooked up to that, I have a firewall, and hooked up to that, I have a VPN VM. And the VPN VM is only allowed to make UDP connections to a specific IP address. And hooked up to my VPN VM is all of these other VMs, like my personal web browser, my email, my work web, my server admin, etc. And so I know that when I start things, these VMs, they either have network and they're going through my VPN, or they don't have any network, or the VPN is not up, and then they have no access at all. So it's very nice to just open your laptop and you're like, I don't care. There are no leaks anywhere. It's just I have all these weird random applications up, and they can be whatever. Oh, it runs Windows as well, of course. So and I don't care if they're open or not, because nothing is leaking unless the VPN is up. But that's my configuration. The router VM is just that's something I use to create access points, because I have multiple network cards and I can do fun stuff with, basically. Vault is not connected to anything. It has no network. So this is what it looks like, and I took screenshots from the web because I figured that would be easier to see. I'm not so sure. Then again, this is all very easily presented. So this is what it could look like. This one is running KDE. You can run KDE or XFCE in DOM0. One of my developers, Robin, he sits down there. He likes tiling window manager, so he's running Awesome, which is a tiling window manager. Here's an example. You have multiple windows up running in multiple VMs. One is called Work, one is called Untrusted, one is called Work Web, and they have different colors, and you can define these colors. And the colors are meant to give you visual cues that, oh, oops, this window is red. Maybe I should not type in my really long and important passphrase into this thing. Here's one running Windows, and you run Windows in seamless mode, which is very nice. So as long as you can live with running XFCE or KDE in your DOM0 in your GUI domain, which you should not be touching anyway. There is no network access in your GUI domain. It is not connected to anything, and that's the way it should be. So you are not supposed to have files on your desktop, for instance. You are supposed to do all your work in your different security domains, and it works surprisingly well. Here's another one. This is also Windows, they have Qubes comes with something called Windows Tools, and it's kind of small here, but here's an option called Other VM, so you can send files to other VMs. So you have inter-VM communication. So if you want to transfer something from, I don't know, your untrusted VM into your personal VM, you can do it just like that. Here's another example. It's pretty small, but as you can see, if there's a pop-up here, and it will display to you and tell you that, oh, this is a green VM, and here's the name of it, which is very useful. Because if you don't have these visual cues, then you can end up just typing in your passwords in places where you shouldn't, right? Here's another example. This is the net VM asking for a Wi-Fi password. And yeah, here is an update window. I shouldn't talk about that. Here's another example. Copy to other app VM. There are also a few other options here, which you can see. There's also you can open things in disposable VMs. So if you have a PDF, for instance, or some kind of email attachment, and I just want to see what this is. I don't care to infect any of my work VMs with it. You just open it in a temporary VM, and then yeah. Right, and this is the firewall configuration. So you have a configuration for every VM, and this is where I specify like if I allow ICMP traffic, ping, or DNS queries, or anything else from that VM to the next VM that it's connected to. And I'm just gonna show you what it looks like. So there we go. So this is the Qubes VM manager, and this is where it all happens basically. You have your DOM0, which is where you're running the GUI. It's not connected to any network. You have sysnet, which runs your Wi-Fi drivers and your DHCP client. And so you have different types as well. And this one, although it doesn't say anywhere, this icon means it's a net VM, meaning it's directly connected to the network. And this one is a proxy VM. It's something that you can connect to, just like a net VM, except it has no direct connection to the network. So work, for instance, is connected to sys-firewall, and sys-firewall is connected to sysnet. In my case, my work web VM is connected to my sys-VPN VM, and then sys-VPN is connected to sys-firewall, and the sys-firewall is connected to sysnet. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Let me just show you a few more things here. Right. Yeah. So here you can see sys-firewall is connected to sysnet, and these are all connected to sys-firewall. And then you have two more types, and this is a really convenient part of Qubes. So untrusted personal work and banking. These are app VMs. These are where you actually run Firefox or Thunderbird or whatever. And your follow-up question should be, this is terrible. I don't want to update packages in like multiple VMs, right? And you shouldn't, because and you don't have to, because you also have something called template VMs. So personal, for instance, or work, or all of these, they inherit from the Fedora template. So if you have if you want to update SSH client or just whatever, install security updates, you just do it in one of the template VMs. So these VMs are actually only the app VMs. They are actually only maybe, I mean, I just reinstalled this computer, so right now I would guess there's these are a megabyte each, and so that's very convenient as well. Yeah, there are lots of more things to learn about Qubes, and I encourage you all to try it. And I will be available in one of these rooms. Thank you.
Thanks, and without further ado,